Hello, hello, and welcome to Refresh. This is the time to connect, be inspired, and learn something and ultimately feel better about this time we spend together. Today, we're spending time with a very special guest. And yes, I know I say that a lot, but that's because our guests are very special. When people offer to share their stories, their lives, and their talent, well, of course, we're grateful. Today, Adelya Nartadjieva, yes, I had to practice that, joins us. And if you haven't heard her name before, I promise you will long remember it. Her story, well, it's about a talent that could not be denied. And often on Refresh, we talk about our passion, finding what makes us happy, right? Digging into something that will be a place where we can follow our feet, if you will. Well, one thing to be really admire about Adelia is she knew at 6. That's when she played her first solo concert in Tashkent. A true virtuoso, she has traipsed the world. She's collected honors from Yale to Singapore, and she currently serves as the concertmaster of the Jacksonville Symphony, one of the most heralded in the country. She represents this, I've seen her perform. She's mesmerizing. She's got that perfect blend of world-class artistry and heartfelt advocacy because in addition to her music, which she has made a significant lifelong commitment to being at the top, she's also made a commitment to her community, wanting it to be better, figuring out ways she can contribute. Early on, it was to help kids do better in music, but now we'll hear about some of her latest thinking about community. But we're not going to start there. Adelia, welcome.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi, Donna. I'm great.
Okay,
This
so
is
yeah.
incredible introduction.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it. It's your story. I'm just sharing it, right? And now you're going to get to share it too. But here you are. You're 6 years old. You're in Uzbekistan. Your mother did. How did the violin make it into your hands?
My mom was a violinist at the opera and ballet theater. She was the principal second violinist. She also was a personnel manager. So I heard Eugen Onegin by Tchaikovsky at 4 years old because we didn't have a babysitter. Um, we grew up quite
Wait. So,
modest.
so we can tell everybody that Tchaikovsky was your babysitter.
No, sorry, you didn't feel it.
No, no,
Oh,
no, no. We could. Tchaikovsky was your babysitter. You listened to Tchaikovsky when you
that's
were
true.
okay, right?
That is true. That is true.
Uh huh.
Uh, my mom didn't have anyone to leave me with, so she took me with her to the pit. And I listened to 3.5 or 4 hour opera. And then when we were walking out, everyone was so exhausted. And mom said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, is there more?" You know, at that point,
Wow.
she
Wow. That's
knew
amazing.
she knew that I loved music. So she asked me, "What would you like to play?" And I said, "I want to be like you, mommy." So she was the biggest inspiration. She was also my mentor. And I love dresses and flowers. That was something that I got every concert. So I was very inspired. But I also loved making music. I understood later why, but it was just a very special experience.
Right. So how did you end up on stage at 6?
Apparently, I learned very fast.
I
Um,
I would say so.
um, I wish I learned this fast now, but I went to the special school. I went to Uspensky School for gifted children. You had to audition even before you were admitted, and they saw something because I would listen to something once and then I would remember it. So they would turn me back, and so they thought, okay, she's serious. And my teacher thought, okay, let's see how far we can go. And I learned Vivaldi Concerto in A minor, and I
Wow. Okay,
loved it.
we really do need to make a list for everybody who's listening,
Yeah.
so they can go when they have time, they can go on ChatGPT or on the web and right? Vivaldi Concerto in A minor.
A
Okay,
minor. I might even have a clip to share later.
okay, that might be nice.
With pigtails. So I loved flowers. I had this, lots of them. And then one bouquet fell down and the conductor took it. And I was like, what did you do? It's mine. So I guess I loved the applause. I loved feeling the warmth now thinking back what it was. But I was very fortunate to have a great teacher. And he saw there was something in me that was, I was a hardworking kid, but I can't ride a bike.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Okay. I think I can give up riding a bike if I could play the violin like you, honestly. But if you want, next time you come by, I can teach you how to ride a bike. You can do both.
Thank you. That's a deal.
Oh, well, although I think during the concert season, probably not. We have to protect your limbs, correct?
We can do, yes, we can do it in the summer.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. So tell me, was there a moment in your career? Like I know you left Uzbekistan and then what happened? You went to
My mom worked as a teacher in Malaysia, so we grew up quite poor actually. So mom had to leave to work as a teacher in another country. So I was with my grandma since I was 13, and my brother and I basically grew up pretty quickly. But we had music in our lives. My brother plays the viola, so it was very interesting growing up quickly. So when I graduated, she said, "Come visit me," and I said, "No, I don't want to. Why should I?" She's
sounds like a teenage girl to me. Okay.
well, why should I? I think she said, "Come visit me and stay." I said, "Mom, there's school. I'm going." She said, "Well, just come visit." So she bought one-way ticket for me, and I'm forever grateful that she did. Um, I started learning English when I was 18. It was difficult. For 6 months, I felt like I understood. I couldn't talk. And a lot of life changes. So I went to Malaysia first, and then I auditioned for the Singapore Conservatory at the National University. I loved it. I loved it so much because my
Wow.
world opened up. I mean, you would understand when you have people who are like minded, and a
Mhm.
lot of people are incredibly talented. There's so many people who are different. So Singapore was a place where there were a lot of international students, and the conservatory was paired with Peabody, John Hopkins. So we had a lot of teachers from the States, and my teacher at the time, she was playing solo a lot. So whatever she was working on, we were working alongside. So I really had a big push, and I had one of the most incredible experiences when I was in the second year in Singapore. Um, Musicians don't talk about it very much, and I'm curious how it is in the athletes world, but we don't talk about injuries at all. It's a
Right.
taboo that no one talks about. So I practiced 8 or 9 hours every day because I wanted to be better. There was just this drive, like I want to be as good as these people to play with them. So I always had this desire to play with other people.
Okay. That's like team sport. That's a team sport thing. Yes.
Love it. And, so it was still kind of discovering. And I was preparing for a competition. I was playing Tchaikovsky violin concerto and I got injured. Um,
How did you get injured?
so on the violin with the bow hand, the ulnar nerve got damaged, unfortunately. Overuse. It's just like you learn later. This is how to take care of your body. And I'm glad there are a lot of programs now for musicians to learn about your body because we just play. We don't think about the body as an instrument as well. And I couldn't play for 3 weeks. And it was the most kind of turning point for me to understand why music and why music it is because of people that listen to you. And I participated in the competition. There was a lot of adrenaline. I played through the pain, didn't feel it at all. I walked off, and then a professor came up to me and he said, "Thank you so much for everything that you do." I said, "What did I do?" He said, "My son listened to you play." And he played the violin for 3 years, and he was 9 at the time. And then he didn't play at all. So he came home and told his dad, "Can you please find my violin? I would like to play." So I learned that I can inspire the next generation, and I ended up teaching him. So it was a
Wow.
really, it was understanding why you do what you do. You love it, but why? So I learned that it is because that connection is created in the moment. with people on stage and in the audience.
This idea of connecting, music being a connector, and this is what you're saying to people on the stage, people in the audience. As you're playing, what are you thinking about?
When I play solo, typically it's you want to reach a moment of autopilot, and I mean it in the best way. You're prepared 220% because things never go incredibly right sometimes. So you have to be over prepared. And I tend to not think if I'm playing solo. If I'm playing chamber music in a small setting, my eyes are always up. We're communicating, so there's no thinking. It's just doing. You talk a lot in rehearsals, but it's like a team. You're building a team through rehearsals, and then in the moment, someone does something and you react, respond. So it's a constant anticipation, but I don't think there's a clear thought process that goes on in the moment.
Right. Okay, so now you're in Singapore, you love it. What's your next move?
I applied to 5 schools in the States, and, I
Why did you
started
do that? Why did you do that? What made you think that you had to go to the States?
I had an opportunity to go to Europe to visit different festivals when I was in Singapore, and I liked it a lot, but when I went to America in 2012, it was my first time, you know, the perception of Juilliard outside the US, just I always thought that people may be very competitive, not everyone I thought would be friendly, but then I met 15 or 20 people at the festival from Juilliard. I was like, this is not who I thought you would be because they were the best chamber music partners, the best team I could have had. And 3 people from 2012 are still my friends. So I was really inspired playing music with others and meeting teachers. So I felt like the States would be the path for me. I also love academics and I love psychology.
Right?
Um, so I ended up going to Yale because it seemed to be the most ideal place for me to keep learning because the program is quite rigorous. They have 200 music master students and DMA. So there's no undergraduate degree for music. And we could take classes. And the most important thing, I didn't have the money to pay for education. And Yale, they very generously provided scholarships to music students. So it was a big deal for me. And when I arrived, I didn't have an instrument that was good enough. So,
Really?
yes,
So you're performing on these world stages with these elite musicians, and you didn't feel that your instrument was good enough,
it was not because I did my audition for Singapore on a violin that was $100.
and yet you still got in.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? What does that say?
It is something that is within you. Oftentimes people say, "Oh, what instrument do you play? It sounds so good." But it is the player and the instrument. It has to be a match. When I auditioned for Singapore, I don't think I had much choice. And at Singapore Conservatory, they had a fantastic ring collection. So I played on one of the most oldest violins there are. There was a Guarneri, there was a Stradivarius. So I was very lucky to play on a different instrument and learn different sounds because every violin has a timbre and you may relate to it or not. So I tend to gravitate towards warmer sounds. So I was very lucky, but then at Yale they had an instrument in their collection. So I was given an instrument to play on. And after Yale, I got into Carnegie Hall's fellowship, Ensemble Connect, and it is a fellowship where they select 18 musicians total. So that year we had 3 violinists and about 600 people applied. The audition was from the morning till evening. In the morning you would play, and then if you get into the next round, you would talk. Who
Okay.
are you as an artist?
What did they want you to talk about?
Who are you as an artist? Why this program? So this program it is designed for young professionals who are who have completed graduate studies, and we played chamber music on different stages in the city, in Paris, and I taught at the public school. in Fort Hamilton High School in Brooklyn. Lots of fun stories from there as well. Um, so I would teach 5 periods with a partner teacher, where the goal was to enrich people's lives, kids' lives. Some of them continued into music education, but many of them just had a little getaway where they felt safe, they had their friends, and they could just jam, you know? There's just so much love in that classroom that I've experienced between the students, but it was a tough road as well for me. Apparently, I don't know if I can say it out loud, but I used to look like someone they did not like the previous 2 years. So when I got there, they just stared at me. And 60 high schoolers staring at me. Nobody wanted to do anything. And for me, at that point, I was in the States for 2 years. So I didn't know what literature they studied. So I actually got to learn a lot about just what do kids do in the States. Um, and I had to earn their trust. And it was a for me, being an educator, it's something that I hold very dearly to my heart because you learn a lot by teaching. And whoever you're teaching, they're teaching you as well. So that
That and okay, so let's go there. What were the lessons you learned in that classroom? Because you've talked about you being I'm getting the sense you're a lifelong learner. I mean, if all of us could take, and we'll take many things away from this conversation and your journey, one of them is this incredible drive as a lifelong learner. You went here to learn more. You went here to learn more. Always open, never, even at the highest pinnacle of your profession, you're looking to learn more. And now you're placed with these high school kids in Brooklyn. What did they teach you?
they they taught me that next generations is always there's I already feel like, oh, I gotta catch up to stay present, to understand them better. But you have to lead with kindness and respect. That was,
I was
speak.
thinking, go
Say
ahead.
what? Yeah, um, speaking to them as equal because we are, it's just a little bit. I'm just a little bit ahead,
Mhm.
and I think that was the biggest lesson. And sometimes you have someone who's incredibly smart and a jokester and causes a lot of trouble. So one day, my partner teacher was coming from Long Island, and he got stuck in traffic. So he goes, Adelia, start the class. I was like, you want me to do what? He said, oh, you got to conduct. I said, where's the score? We were doing Beethoven Fifth, I think. I was like, I've never conducted in that setting. So I got up there, and then this guy just kept making jokes. I said, okay, you know what? We're going to do something different. So we played some Bach chorales, and I asked this young, talented man to come by, and I asked, would you help me conduct? So we kind of conducted together, and since then, I think he understood it wasn't that easy actually to stand up there and you put your hands down and nothing happens. If people have to want to play with you, but trusting, leading with kindness, and I think most of the people will react in a kind way as well. Like, sometimes we smile and then just like someone who is passing might smile back at you. And sometimes that one smile makes a big difference in somebody else's life.
Absolutely. There's this great story I once heard. It has to do with a man who gave somebody a lollipop that turned out to be life changing. There are all those little moments we cannot account for, and that's okay. We should always choose to
Yes.
participate in them, right?
Yeah, and kindness is free, you know? It's a choice.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. So it sounds like you won these kids over in Brooklyn High
I
School.
did. We created a beautiful project together where we took a dance that was written, and then each group, out of 60 students, they were paired into 5 to 6 people groups, and they all wrote variations. So they took the melody and they elaborated. So we had this giant piece of music created by these students. And I think they had the time of their life because it was not about being perfect. It was not about anything, but just collaborating together, being a good team.
Right.
And yeah, I do still talk to quite a few of them actually. They
Yeah, right? And how many of them went on, if any, to perform or have, musical careers?
there were 4 students who went into music education. So
Okay.
they're going to be raising the next generation and they will be doing them with love. But my partner teacher was just incredible. He was very passionate. I learned so much from him. He showed up every day at 7 right there. He woke up at very early and 4:45 he started driving. But commitment and dedication and high standards, but with love. That's how his classroom was. So I learned a lot from him as well.
And then you moved on.
And then I did. Um, what did I do?
Well, so
Uh,
at some point you got to Jacksonville. How did
I
that
did, I did. Um, so in Ensemble Connect, another part of it was the entrepreneurship actually. So in that interview that lasted a day, the audition and interview, you would present a piece of music and you had no script, but the point was to connect with people. Sometimes I also feel as a musician, oftentimes I hear, well, it's just maybe it's not for me. I don't understand it. And so the fellowship was designed to break those walls, not to make something so simple, but we connect as humans over different experiences. So, what does this piece mean to you? And that was something that was very, very interesting. And I remember each person was supposed to create something. And my project was to create a summer camp for high school students and mix them with different like-minded musicians. We had to create budget. We had to, design the whole thing. And I remember Carnegie Hall did this amazing thing where they invited all the team members, all the staff from Carnegie Hall to act as, people who you would talk to in a normal setting at here and there. And I remember I had such a panic attack. I ran to the bathroom and I
happen?
sat there for 5 minutes and I said, okay, time to go. So kind of facing your fears, something that you might have been scared of. I did not like public speaking at all growing up. I did not like cameras, but you have to believe in yourself and it takes a while. But I think you asked me, what did the students teach you? Not being afraid to share, to be vulnerable. People understand. And in return, they opened up.
Right. Well, it's interesting when I hear like, listen, I've already taken a lot of notes, Adelia, and, when you speak about not wanting to speak in public, your violin is your voice.
It is. It is. It is. And I used to be very self-conscious, just speaking a different language. Just I grew up speaking Russian, I spoke a little Uzbek, but English was not natural at that time. So looking at others, others were leading by example. And because it was a group of like-minded people, I felt safe to share and make mistakes. Sometimes you don't say something right, and you have these goosebumps. But this experience allowed me to speak a little bit of Japanese in Suntory Hall with Orpheus. So we had a little thing where we each one of us took turns, and before the encore, we would say, "Don't ask me to do it again. I don't remember at this point," but we would say, "Arigato gozaimasu," and then you would say, "This is the encore," and then you would name the encore. I remember there was the last page of the Mendelssohn symphony that we played, and I was practicing in my head. I was like, "Oh no, I'm not worried about the playing part. I was worried about not messing up." But connecting with people in something that they might know made a biggest difference. And also, probably that was the most, I don't know what the word is, but it was very exciting afterwards. I was so proud of myself. I was like, see, you have to believe in yourself.
Yes,
But
you have that would be something we take away. We ask all of our guests to give us 3 takeaways, and you have 3. What would you like to share as your 3 lessons for our, community today?
I think lead with kindness.
Ah, okay.
So trust your intuition. And when you listen, very often our attention span is so short. So listening to people and hearing what they're saying, it might not align with what you're saying, but hear them. It is about teamwork. And chamber music taught me a lot. Let's try it. You know,
Yeah,
let's try it.
but let me ask you a question. Lead with kindness. We love that. We work with our wow girls in that space. We part of our Generation W ethos. How does that infuse your music? This belief in leading with kindness.
I think it's not being set in your rigid ways. There is an idea of what you want to inspire others with, to they give it back to you. So, but if you go in with a big ego, it's never gonna
Right.
it's never gonna turn out well.
Sounds like, again, this journey, I think we take away from this is this incredible journey of learning. No matter how much you accomplish, there's always more to learn. And when you do that humbly, right, and listen to hear, it continues to take you places, right?
It
So
does.
now, concertmaster, are you like the youngest concertmaster in the country?
As a woman, probably.
Yes.
I have to double check that information, but I'm one
Okay.
of the youngest in my generation for sure. There
Tell
aren't
me,
that many women leaders in general, and I'm
it
so
isn't.
happy.
Right, so you don't see you anywhere. You're a woman who you feel, didn't start with the English language, right? So you come from another place, which has filled you with experience, but not the experience in the country you have now chosen. So how do you make that next step? You talk about believing in yourself, but that's a big leap. Was it a challenge, or did you embrace it, or
It
both?
was a it was a big challenge because I think in many disciplines we try to do our best, the best as you can. So it's never quite enough. And I think it was Pablo Casals, who is a cellist. Once they asked him, like, why are you practicing? You're incredible. He was 90, something like that. And he said, you will never reach the ceiling, the ceiling is you can keep growing. You can always do that. But believing in myself was a lot of people deal with imposter syndrome. Just
Right.
people tell you, like, but I could have done this and that. So it took a very long time. Or when people give you a compliment, just say thank you. You don't have to, just accepting that fact that maybe it was good enough. So
So how did you make the next step?
for the Jacksonville Symphony, I was in New York at the time, and I actually looked back at my notes when I was 14. I was the concertmaster of the chamber orchestra and then concertmaster of the youth orchestra. And I always loved leading with people. It's just something that felt very comfortable. I did Manhattan School of Music orchestral program. I studied with Mr. Dikterev, who was the concertmaster of New York Philharmonic, and Lisa Kim, who's associate principal, second violin in New York Philharmonic. And they inspired me to think of orchestral music differently.
Mhm.
Um, and then one day, a friend of mine from Ensemble Connect, she reached out, just said, "Hey, Jacksonville Symphony is looking for a concertmaster." And it's been 5 years at the time or something like that because of COVID. Everything got delayed. And she said, "Would you be interested to submit a CV?" I said, "Yes." Because I actually heard about Jacksonville Symphony from Stefan Jakiv, who is a really good friend, and he was just saying how incredible the orchestra sounded. I was like, I remember hearing about Jacksonville Symphony from him. Um, I
Go
was
ahead,
my
baby. So, okay, I'm gonna, like, put a little pause in here.
yes.
Tell everybody what a concertmaster does.
Aha. Okay. So to define concertmaster in a quick second, if you think of a conductor who is a pilot, concertmaster is like a co-pilot. Like, so think about it that way.
Right.
Um, the conductor has this grand vision, and
Uh-huh.
they may say something, but then my job is to translate that into terms that can unite the section. Which part of the bow are we going to play? So I have a bow right here, actually. Oh, giving away a surprise. So which part of the bow are we going to play? This part is lighter, this part is heavier. So and it has to be instant. The decision making has to be so instant, and you have to trust yourself that it is going to help. So thinking about how to address people, you know, during COVID, there were four of us who took the turn. So I had 2 weeks trial for the Jacksonville Symphony. One was classical week and one was pops. We were wearing masks and I had to stand up, hold the mic, and then turn and make a comment if something was helpful that I thought um, would help the unity of the string section. And I think this is something they were looking
So
for.
you only focus on the string section.
Yes,
Okay.
I do. But in the concerts, there's a lot of eye contact that goes on between the winds and the brass. But um, in rehearsals, I would focus on kind of shaping along with the vision of the conductor. And on stage, very often I look this way because we can see each other. There are some visual cues that happen. But yeah, mostly I talk.
Well, you play with such joy. Okay, quickly, because we're running out of time.
Okay.
How do you get the job? You heard about it, you applied,
Yes.
tried out for 2 weeks, and then what?
And then I waited. It was the most longest month I had to wait. My trial was in September, and then the last person was wrapping up in February.
Oh my gosh.
So I just continued with my life. I started playing with New York Philharmonic as an extra musician, and I kept up. I mean, New York freelance life is fun because you get to do fun things, and we recorded an album, and that album won us a Grammy.
Oh my gosh, you won a
Yeah.
Grammy. Grammy award winning. I have to we should lead with that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I heard the news from Steven. He called and he said, "We would like to offer you a job." And I was so happy because when I was in Jacksonville, I walked in and people were smiling. I was like, oh my goodness, people are so nice. It's just the energy. But I think something they might have been missing is just unity. And I think I was able to show that I have something to offer that would um, unite and develop the DNA that would be passed on for
Well,
generations to come.
I would tell everybody, because we're just about out of time, Adelia, that they should go online and find anything where you're playing. It is so joyful. It is so absolutely magnificent. I always take notes during these conversations, and there were so many different aspects, because you're right, being a musician is like, it's an athlete. You are an athlete, and you don't think about your body as an instrument as well. And when you are a musician, your body is an instrument. You have to take care of it, right? And then,
Yes,
because this whole thing about lifelong learning, like, don't be afraid to say you don't know, or the idea that you can learn more. and so
exactly.
and you said, when you love something, you ask why. And to me, that's in that your spirit of constantly inquiring, understanding what you're doing, how you're doing it, and then how you share it with others. Because I loved when you said, um, people have to want to play with you, right? People have to want to learn from you as a concert master. It's the same kind of thing. So incredibly valuable lessons in your journey as a very young, talented woman who could have been overwhelmed by all of this, and yet you weren't. You embraced it. And I just want to say thank you for sharing your talent
Thank you.
with us. And,
Thank you so
and,
much.
and you're not going to leave us without, right? Doing a little bit of a surprise something, maybe?
See.
You're beautiful. I
The diva. For now, she's still a diva. Should I announce the piece? Mhm. I'm going to perform Meditation from opera Thais. And in this moment, there are two people who are in love. It's a little bit of a sad opera, but in that moment, they're in love and there's a lot of hopes and dreams. And it's one of my favorite tunes.
Woo! Adelya Nartadjieva,
Oh, Donna, this
Concertmaster,
is very
human,
special.
human extraordinaire. You are so,
Thank
so
you.
special. I really would love to invite everyone to find you wherever they can. You are inspirational. You
Oh,
are magical.
so
Uh,
are you.
and you are
So are
wonderful.
you, Donna.
Thank you, Sherry Levin, our producer today, and we'll see you next time on Refresh.